Heads up, a brand new high-severity zero-day vulnerability was just found and patched in Google Chrome and other Chromium-based browsers such as Edge.
February 13th, 2026. Google pushes an emergency security update to Chrome. No announcement, no press conference, just a quiet patch shipped to billions of devices worldwide. The reason buried in technical release notes: CVE-2026-2441. A zero-day vulnerability, already being exploited in the wild. By the time Google confirmed the breach, attackers had been silently inside Chrome's engine for days, possibly longer. Nobody knows exactly how long. That's the definition of a zero-day. You find out after the damage is already done, and this one is serious. CVS S score of 8.8 out of 10. Classified high severity. It allows a remote attacker to execute arbitrary code on your computer through nothing more than a web page. You don't click a download. You don't install anything. You just visit a website. And attackers are already in. This is the story of the most dangerous Chrome vulnerability of 2026. And what it reveals about the browser you trust every single day. The flaw nobody saw coming to.
And according to this GitHub repo, a use after free vulnerability Google Chrome Blink CSS engine that allows a remote attacker to execute arbitrary code inside the browser sandbox via a crafted HTML page, meaning...
Understand why this is so alarming. You need to understand what a use after free vulnerability actually is. It sounds technical. The reality is terrifyingly simple. Chrome manages memory constantly. When you load a web page, Chrome allocates chunks of memory to handle it. When that memory is no longer needed, Chrome frees it, releases it back to the system. A use after free flaw means Chrome makes a mistake. It frees a block of memory, but then tries to access it again anyway, like throwing away a key and then trying to use it to open the same lock. The memory slot is now empty, available, and attackers know exactly how to fill it. CVE-2026-2441 lives specifically inside Chrome's CSS engine, the component that processes the visual styling of every web page you visit. Every font, every color, every layout element passes through it. The flaw sits inside a function called CSS font feature values map. It manages how Chrome handles CSS font feature values. When a malicious web page sends specially crafted CSS rules to this component, it triggers the bug. Chrome frees memory, then tries to access it. Attackers have already placed their code in that memory slot. Chrome executes it. Game over. No authentication required. No file downloads. No suspicious links to click. Just rendering a web page. That's the attack. That's all it takes. The 2 days that matter.
You will want to do this immediately, or at least the next time you go to use the browser, because being a zero-day vulnerability means that they detected it actually being used by hackers before they were able to patch it.
The timeline of this vulnerability is what makes it genuinely disturbing. Security researcher Shaheen Fazim discovered the flaw and reported it to Google on February 11th, 2026. Google released the emergency patch 2 days later on February 13th. 2 days. That's a fast response. Google deserves credit for moving quickly. But here's the problem. When Google confirmed the patch, they also confirmed something else. An exploit for CVE-2026-2441 already existed in the wild before the patch. Before most users had any idea this flaw existed. Attackers were already using it. That means there was a window. We don't know how long. Days? Weeks? Longer? Google has not disclosed when active exploitation began. They haven't identified who is behind the attacks. They haven't said who was targeted. Standard practice for actively exploited vulnerabilities is to restrict technical details until most users are updated, which means the full picture of this breach is still hidden. What we know is confirmed. Attackers found this flaw, weaponized it, and used it against real people before the patch existed. This is the defining feature of zero-day attacks. They hit you before you're on the radar, before security teams know to look, before anyone can defend against it. You only find out something was wrong after it's already too late. What attackers actually do with it once?
We're going to explore in this video an HTML page, like a web page, right? Hosted in a regular browser. The attacker sends you the page, you open it, your browser below 145 in version, boom. They will basically execute whatever they want, or whatever they have actually embedded in that vulnerable, in that malicious.
An attacker exploits CVE-2026-2441. They execute arbitrary code inside Chrome's sandbox. The sandbox is Chrome's protection layer. Every tab runs inside it. The idea is containment. If a tab is compromised, the damage stays inside the sandbox. Doesn't reach the rest of your system. That's the theory. The practice is different. Code execution inside the sandbox is already dangerous. The attacker effectively becomes that browser tab. They can hijack your active browsing session, steal your session cookies. Those cookies are what keep you logged into Gmail, your bank, your work email, your cloud storage. Once an attacker has your session cookies, they don't need your password. They're already authenticated. You won't see any login alerts. Because they didn't log in, they slid into your already open session. From there, it escalates quickly. Stolen credentials, spyware planted into trusted systems, remote session hijacking. Attacks rarely stay small. They start with one email address compromised, one guest-level account. Then, attackers move laterally, gain privilege, escalate access. End scenarios include ransomware locking entire networks, sensitive data exfiltration, or full system compromise if the sandbox exploit is chained with a privilege escalation vulnerability. Sophisticated attackers specifically chain browser exploits with secondary vulnerabilities to break out of the sandbox entirely. Once outside, they have access to your file system, credentials stored on the machine, your camera, your microphone, everything. A single crafted web page starts that entire chain. That's why CISA flagged this immediately. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency added CVE-2026-2441 to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. They set a deadline. Patch before March 10th, 2026. Federal agencies were required to comply, because this is exactly the kind of vulnerability nation-state attackers and cybercriminal groups weaponize first. Then it filters down to everyone. The scale of the problem. Here's the number that matters. Chrome is installed on approximately 65% of desktop browsers globally. That's billions of devices. When a vulnerability lands in Chrome, the attack surface isn't a niche product used by Etienne. Specific demographic. It's the internet itself. Every business using Chrome, every government employee, every developer, every person who uses Gmail or just opens a browser to check the news. All of them were running vulnerable versions before February 13th, and it doesn't stop at Chrome, because Chrome is built on the Chromium engine. Every Chromium-based browser shares the same underlying code. Opera issued its own patch on February 14th, explicitly listing CVE-2026-2441. Vivaldi pushed an update flagging the same vulnerability with the same note, known exploit in the wild. Microsoft Edge, also Chromium-based, required its own patch. The vulnerability rippled outward to every browser built on that engine. If you use any Chromium-based browser and haven't updated since February 13th, you're still exposed. This is what makes Chrome such a persistent, high-value target. The browser handles untrusted web content by design. Every web page you visit is potentially untrusted content. Chrome processes it, renders it, displays it. The attack surface is literally everything you browse. In 2025, Google patched 8 actively exploited Chrome 0 days across the year. CVE-2026-2441 is the first confirmed exploited Chrome 0 day of 2026. It will not be the last. The phishing pipeline. How do attackers get victims onto malicious web pages? They don't always need sophisticated targeting. Phishing emails are the most common delivery mechanism. An email arrives. Looks like it's from your bank, your employer, a shipping notification, a document shared with you. The link inside doesn't go to a malware download. It goes to a web page. The web page looks normal. In the background, specially crafted CS rules hit Chrome's vulnerable engine. The user sees nothing unusual, never knows anything happened. Malicious advertisements work the same way. Attackers purchase ad placements that redirect to exploit pages. You don't click a suspicious link. You visit a normal site with normal-looking ads. One of those ads loads the exploit page in a background frame. Invisible, automatic. The attack completes without any action from you beyond loading the page. This attack vector is why browser-based vulnerabilities are consistently the most exploited category in cybersecurity. Not because browser makers are careless, because browsers are the primary interface for everything. Email, cloud services, financial platforms, internal business systems, all running inside the same application, all exposed by a single flaw. What you need to do right now, the fix exists.
To make sure you update and get the latest version, which is one of these depending on your operating system, ending in either 0.75 or 0.76. And you can do that by going to the top right in Chrome and then going to Help and then About Google Chrome, and it will automatically start installing, and then you just relaunch it. You will want to do this immediately, or at least the next time you go to use the browser.
The patch is real. Google shipped it on February 13th. If your Chrome hasn't updated since that date, you need to act immediately. The protected versions are 145.0.7632.75 or 145.0.7632.76 for Windows and Mac OS. For Linux, 144.0.7559.75. Check your version by clicking the three-dot menu in the top right of Chrome, going to Settings, then About Chrome. Chrome will show your current version and whether an update is available. The critical step most users miss: you must restart Chrome after the update downloads. Chrome can download a patch in the background while you're browsing, but it doesn't apply until you close and reopen the browser. If you see Relaunch to Update in the top right corner, you are running a vulnerable version right now. Click it. Relaunch. Get protected. If you use Opera, Vivaldi, Edge, Brave, or any other Chromium-based browser, check those for updates separately. The vulnerability affects all of them. Each required its own patch. Enable automatic updates across all of them. The reason this vulnerability was dangerous is because attackers exploited it before most users knew it existed. Automatic updates close that window as fast as possible. Where this ends, the lesson of CVE-2026-2441 isn't that Chrome is uniquely broken. Google patched this in 2 days. That's genuinely fast. The lesson is what 0 days reveal about. Modern software risk. The most trusted, most used applications on the planet contain undiscovered flaws right now. Attackers are actively searching for them. When they find one, they don't report it. They exploit it, quietly, before anyone can defend. That window between discovery and patch is where breaches happen, where credentials get stolen, where ransomware chains begin. Browser security isn't optional. It's the front door to everything you do online. CVE-2026-2441 proved that a single flaw in how Chrome handles font feature CSS values could expose billions of users across Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, all affected, all requiring immediate action. Google confirmed the exploit was active in the wild. CISA mandated federal patching. The attacks targeted people who did exactly what you do every day. Opened a browser, visited a website, and had no idea what was running underneath. Update Chrome now, restart it. Check every Chromium browser on every device you own. The patch closed the door, but only if you use it.